Hi, let me introduce myself. I'm Isis Benitez. I'm a 21-year-old Latinx woman who has lived in the city of Poughkeepsie since I was 5 years old. I come from a line of activists, people who knew they had to fight for everything and anything. So in my professional life and in my free time, I have worked toward racial justice and equity. For the past year, I have been a part of that work that has been done with the support of NGEN and its members and advocates. NGEN is the End the New Jim Crow Action Network, a grassroots organization here in the city of Poughkeepsie. To have a white male police officer publicly negate my existence by telling me I'm an outsider, a non-stakeholder, and that I've contributed nothing to this community was hurtful, but unsurprising. This is the exact thing my parents and their parents were told. The reason I do the work I do is so that one day my children can be brought into the world where they will not hear such things. If not at all, then at least not from government employees. When I responded to PBA social media posts, I was attacked and denigrated by their supporters who told me I don't belong in this country and called me the N-word, and among other things. The fact that local law enforcement and their supporters are willing to attack residents, benevolent organizations, and people of color out in full view of the public leaves me terrified of what they will do to us when no one's looking. But I know that the people who issue such attacks are the true outsiders and outliers, desperately holding on to America's past instead of embracing its future. And I am resilient. I will not be intimidated. This is the most serious endeavor of my life so far, one that will affect my children and their children, and I will see it through no end.
Good evening. My name is Earl Brown. I'm a member of NGEN, and I'm a resident of City of Poughkeepsie. I've been in City of Poughkeepsie since 1990. During my time, I met some good people that were doing good things, trying to better this city of Poughkeepsie. It seems that it's a never-ending struggle, fighting for justice, and I'm really disappointed that we who have tried to do so good have been tagged as outsiders and seeking to tear the city apart. For 30 years, I've been working with people trying to keep the city together. And to be called an outsider, it's very disturbing. We have been trying to work with the police department in compliance with Executive Order 203. That order, it was given by the governor, and if we don't present him with something acceptable, he is threatened to take money away, stop giving money to this city. That's ridiculous. We should want to come to an agreement that will inspire trust in the community, inspire transparency, because you can't have trust without transparency. So it seems it's a never-ending struggle. I've had several conversations with the police chief, with different officers, and it seems that we should be able to come to an agreement. I don't know what the problem is. Maybe it's the point that police don't want to be told when they're wrong. They don't feel that they have to answer to anyone. If that's the situation, then chaos is going to continue. And there's going to be bad feelings between the police department and the community. So I do hope that we will be able to sit down with the powers that be and come to an agreement, something that's acceptable to the community and to Governor Cuomo. That's always my effort, is to improve things. And that's my hope for the city. And one more thing, these shootings that we're having, I've been a mentor for 15 years in the Boy Scouts, high school, middle school, trying to talk to the young men. But if we don't get more resources into the community, showing them a way out, they will always be picking up the gun because they don't see any alternative. They want to live a good life like everybody else. We need to show them how to do other than being a drug dealer or some criminal. They need to be educated, job training, whatever it takes to raise them up. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kalima Kareem. I'm a resident of the city of Poughkeepsie and a member of Celebrating the African Spirit. I am not an outside agitator, external interest, or any of the other negative labels tossed out by the city's PBA. I actually happen to live on Academy Street here in the city. At a recent community meeting, another black woman commented to me that back in the day, the only thing a black person could do on Academy Street was work as a maid. So it might seem that things have improved for black people here over the years. Well, not so much. In many ways, things are pretty much the same. Police departments, including the city of Poughkeepsie's police department, still actively and publicly convey their racist attitudes by their words and by their actions. By attacking citizens attempting to exercise their right of free speech. By acting as though police contracts are sacred cows immune to limits, givebacks, or the city's fiscal constraints. By acting as though mental health is a 9-to-5 issue and that we don't need to fund more trained, around-the-clock crisis counselors in the budget. Or need to fund affordable childcare or more after-school programs. How about allocating more resources to improving our city's public schools and their disgraceful graduation rates? How about providing affordable housing that people can actually afford? Or a city budget that offers medical outreach to our black and brown communities to reduce the enormous impact of both COVID-19 and the many chronic medical conditions that we face. In these fiscally difficult times, city budgets must be developed to equitably address as many of their residents' needs as possible, not pander to the police at everyone else's expense. Thank you.
So I'm honored to read a statement from Ozzie Williams, who was a lifelong resident of the city of Poughkeepsie and a recently retired African-American woman. I've been active in this community for many years, have worked hard to raise up this city and advocate for those who are most affected by its many issues. I've been a part of the Northern Dutchess NAACP, Community Voices Heard, and many other community-based grassroots organizations. When I heard people who do not live in the city say that I and those I care about are outsiders and non-stakeholders who have done nothing good for this city, I was deeply hurt. It's the same narrative we've been subject to our entire lives, one that tells us we're no good and that our voices don't matter. It's the same narrative my ancestors were subjected to, and to hear it now in 2020 from a city employee is very distressing. At the same time, I remain inspired by those who live here and those who advocate for them, all of whom are stakeholders. There are so many people doing the right thing and elevating this community, and I know that despite the setbacks and attacks, we'll continue to together unify this city.
Hello, my name is Darrell Roberts. I'm a lifelong resident of Poughkeepsie, New York, and I wish to speak about the allegation against my organization. As you can see on my shirt, I have been in Poughkeepsie. I have seen the ups and downs of this city, and Ancient, which stands for End the New Jim Crow Action Network, want to improve life in the city of Poughkeepsie, and we wish to only want to help the community become a whole. And we all have been elders. We had all worked together for that cause to make the city better for everybody. And for a person who really don't live in the city of Poughkeepsie to slander such a wonderful organization really hurts me to the core, because we've been wanting to work with the city of Poughkeepsie Police for such a long time. We want to have transparency. We want the police to be able to interact in the community, and we engine members want that, to be a part of that wonderful coalition, that we can work together for the betterment, not the detriment. And for a person to say that we're radical, that we don't live in the city, hurts. We have very good working with the police. We try to work, diligently, so we all have an understanding of each other, a compliment, and the challenges we have, and what we can do to make it better for everybody. We are not people who are radicals. We have done things to make the city better. We will go and talk to the Common Council. We'll talk to anybody about our organization to show that we do want the country, the city, and the people to feel secure. And anybody that attacks an organization, I feel that I really truly believe is doing the best job they can to bring that community spirit to the city, and is outrage to every member, and not only for Engine, but for everybody in the community who want to see more cooperation between our police force, the community at large, and the organizations that work for this harmony. And all I can say is, I'm proud to be a member of Engine. I'm proud that we're doing the right thing for the community, and we could get the city and police to work with us. I think we can have a much better cooperation all around. Thank you for your invitation, and my emotions are very high, but I still thank you.
Hello, I'm Katie Height. I'm a resident and homeowner here in the city of Poughkeepsie, where I've now lived for several years. I'm a member of Celebrating the African Spirit, and I often participate in Engine meetings. I'm speaking out against the unconscionable claims of the PBA in our Common Council meeting and on social media. To claim that because we want police practices to be more transparent, to be held accountable for any abuses of their authority, that this is somehow the work of radical outsiders, is deeply offensive to the many of us who live here. And for the PBA to claim we do nothing for the city is an outrage. When a police representative blows up like this, it of course makes me think the police have things to hide. Non-abusive police have nothing to fear from greater transparency and accountability. They are our public servants. And to attack Engine, a group born right here in the city of Poughkeepsie that has always played by the rules, is abominable. The Common Council's tabling the police contract was absolutely appropriate. All of our Common Council members are elected by residents of the city of Poughkeepsie. All of them live here in the city of Poughkeepsie. All are committed to this city. We elect them, and they live among us. As a white woman, I've never really been afraid of the police, even when an officer on Main and North Bridge Street was incredibly rude to me. Yet it's the case that City of Poughkeepsie police officers have been charged at the federal level with excessive use of force against young African Americans. To deny any grounds for concern regarding the long-standing blind eye afforded active duty officers is disingenuous. The mistrust, the local failure to hold City of Poughkeepsie officers accountable is palpable even to me. And now to insult our community members is pathetic as well as offensive. City of Poughkeepsie police officers should be ashamed of this representation. The PBA should apologize both to our elected officials and to our community.
My name is May Parker Harris, lifelong lived in the city of Poughkeepsie. In the USA, it's still the case that people tend to see color before capability, and as individual. We're often undervalued and at worst marginalized. These actions says that we have to prove ourselves all over again. White supremacist is the enemy of both blacks and white people because the idea of white supremacists mean you should rule just because you are white. I marched in 1963 with Martin Luther King in Washington. I've also marched in the Million Man's March and so many others. Why I am still carrying the same signs for justice for blacks now is young people of color turn. Black Lives Matter is about what blacks always went through. As Stacey Abrams once said, we need a leader, a moral character, and sees us all as one when it comes to justice.
My name is Chris, and I'm honored to be reading a statement from D. Brown. She says, I belong to the Race Unity Circle. We are a group of concerned citizens who regularly meet with one another to consult and investigate our shared history of racial discrimination and separation. We take seriously the need to find pathways to justice, reconciliation, and peace. We want to be a unified community. Speaking as an individual, I do not believe that the necessary change in policing will happen until we detach from blind imitation of the past, jettison policing as it is currently formulated and traditionally practiced, and devise new standards for policing that are rooted in and motivated by a genuine desire to protect and serve. You can imagine how horrified I was to hear that the PBA vice president uttered what is, historically speaking, a common white supremacist trope at a recent Common Council meeting. According to reports, the VP of the PBA dismissed Engine and the New Jim Crow Action Network as an outsider organization and a non-stakeholder. The PBA further derided this grassroots, community-based social justice organization as pulling this city apart. These comments were uttered in a public gathering and later posted on the PBA Facebook page. Organizations like Engine, the RUC, and others genuinely seek to recreate the notion of policing in a way that uplifts all segments of our community. As it is traditionally practiced, policing has imposed a heavy burden on Black and brown people and the poor in Dutchess County. We are calling for accountability, and you better believe we are taxpayers and stakeholders in this community. Whenever calls for justice, social justice reach pitch and begin to resonate with the wider community, some public official will blame outside agitators, mysterious outsiders who swoop in from out of the town to stir up trouble. The trope of outside agitator is repeated so often throughout our shared history that it should be regularly considered a red flag signaling a desire to preserve the status quo and protect white supremacy. I believe strongly that our local law enforcement officers cannot heal themselves or our community if they so callously use racist tropes to shut community voices down. I am an African American woman. I am a Poughkeepsie resident. I am a stakeholder, and I want Engine at the table. Engine does speak for me.
Hi, my name is Jeffrey Schneider. I reside in the city of Poughkeepsie's 1st Ward, and I'm a proud member of End the New Jim Crow Action Network. Engine was founded in the city of Poughkeepsie in the spring of 2011. Our mission is to advocate against policies that have led to mass incarceration in this country and that disproportionately target low-income individuals and communities of color, exactly those populations that make up a sizable portion of residents in the city. As a founding member of Engine, I am speaking out against remarks made by a member of the city's police force and PBA accusing Engine of being an organization of anti-police outsiders who have little or no footprint in this community. Not only are these aspersions false and hurtful, but they also cast doubt on the commitment of our police officers to meaningful dialogue and reform. Engine knows that police officers have an important and difficult job to do in ensuring public safety. But as the events of the past few years have made painfully clear, police behavior has also been a terrible source of racial justice in this country, leading Governor Cuomo to issue an executive order requiring long overdue police reform. Fortunately, Engine has been working on police reform for some time. We attended several coffees with a cop and participated in the police department's annual National Night Out several times. We have also held numerous discussions with the mayor, Police Chief Pape, and members of his leadership team to advocate for a vision of policing that is responsive to the needs of the entire community. But while the police department is working toward a model of procedural justice, it has yet to embrace all aspects of this model. As a result, in July, we pushed the Common Council to pass the Right to Know Act, which requires police officers to identify themselves and provide a business card at the end of their interactions with the public. This fall, we also began advocating for a civilian review board and other measures to make Poughkeepsie police officers more accountable to the community they serve. There is nothing anti-police about these proposals. Indeed, they promise to increase community confidence in our local police, enabling them to do their job more efficiently and more justly. When members of the police department hurl insults against those they are sworn to protect, it can only undermine public trust. We thus urge all members of the Poughkeepsie Police Force to recommit to the foundational principles of procedural justice: fairness, impartiality, transparency, and giving the public a voice. We believe that Poughkeepsie deserves better.
Hi, my name is Isis Benitez, and I am honored to read Ms. Eloise Maxey's statement. I'm pleased that Santa did not arrive in Poughkeepsie on an MRAT. Santa usually arrives on a fire truck to spread joy to the children of Poughkeepsie. Why change the event? With the climate being what it is, an assault vehicle with Santa inside does not look good. I am saddened that an officer was stabbed in the neck, and I wish him a speedy recovery. The many good officers who put their lives on the line every day deserve and earn the community's respect. May whoever is responsible for the injury be swiftly brought to justice. However, there is a disconnect between the community and the police department, not only in Poughkeepsie, but other areas also. This is why the reform process is so important. There are changes that need to be made, starting with the civilian review board at the top of the list. I was born in the South in the 1940s. As a young woman, I marched with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., including on Bloody Sunday, across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I later moved up here to Poughkeepsie, New York, to continue the work. It was a sad discovery that the climate up here was not as different as you might expect. What saddens me most, however, is that year after year, decade after decade, we continue to face new forms of the same challenges, including right here in Poughkeepsie. We continue needing to hold press conferences like this one. We thank the various organizations that have continued activism on behalf of the people of Poughkeepsie, and we thank the brave officers of the police department for their continued engagement with various organizations.
My name is Chris, and I'm a resident of the city of Poughkeepsie. I recently scrolled down the City of Poughkeepsie's PBA Facebook page, and what I witnessed was disheartening to say the least. At the end of May, we saw what happened as a result of persistent abuse of power and ignorance of racial injustice. In a digital age where we all have access to public information, it is plain to see that there is a clear injustice going on, not just throughout the city, but throughout our law enforcement in this entire nation. A man by the name of George Floyd was murdered at the hands of law just months ago, and unfortunately, he is one of many more, including, but not limited to, a 12-year-old boy playing alone in the park with a toy BB gun. Tamir Rice. I appreciate our law enforcement who go out every day and lay their lives on the line to protect the communities they serve. I'm unsure where the goal got blurred, however, law enforcement remain a service to the community and it should be handled as such. With that being said, there is a big part of the city that does not feel that they are being served or protected. What I saw on the City of Poughkeepsie PBA Facebook page was a lot of politically charged misinformation, which refuse to acknowledge any sort of mistreatment or disproportionate discipline to the people of color, not only in the city, but around the nation, which has already been proven time and time again well before the murder of George Floyd. If we are to progress in any way and move forward as a community, the City of Poughkeepsie PBA needs to set an example of accountability, responsibility, and inclusion of the city that it claims to protect. In June, Governor Cuomo created an executive order that calls for police reform, and the reform must be proposed, voted on, and established within each city's respective municipalities. It is to ensure the mutual trust between community and law enforcement and promote racial justice. It is meant as a collaborative effort between the community and its elected officials, and although the community is doing what it can to be involved, it is being met with intense resistance because, unfortunately, our leaders involved do not believe that there is anything that needs to be reformed, which directly contradicts what our governor believes to be true. As law enforcement is to uphold the law and enforce the law, then the City of Poughkeepsie PBA should be encouraging its citizens and local legislature to follow the law that our state governor ordered and to do so inclusively. Since the City of Poughkeepsie's demographic majority is in fact people of color, at 54% as per the U.S. Census page, the BIPOC community should absolutely have a say in local legislation and a community that takes their grievances seriously. Local activist groups are simply trying to follow and create safety within their communities. Why is it such a fight to simply have a seat at the table? New York State police and municipalities are working on coming up with a specific reformation plan so that both the community and law enforcement can have better relationships and in turn create a safer community for all. Why should that be villainized and weaponized on the City of Poughkeepsie PBA Facebook page? Shouldn't they be encouraging the community to become involved in local legislation and protect their community to fight for what they believe in? Regardless of the resistance, this will be a collaborative effort between our local law enforcement, our elected officials, and our community, all of its members, including but not limited to the majority demographic, which is people of color. We will continue to take up space and make noise, as this is a problem that will not go away, no matter how hard the city may try to sweep it under the rug and push it aside as a non-issue. Clearly in 2020, it is still an ongoing issue that is killing people every day, as we witnessed firsthand when we watched George Floyd and many others. Law enforcement, we are not your enemies, and we do not see you as an enemy. Although we are the majority demographic, we are not represented as such, and that changes today and every day afterwards. Please hear us when we say we thank you for your service, and we do not intend to villainize what you do. What we intend to do is fight for what our taxes pay for, which is our protection within our communities, just as all other community members and stakeholders do. We all just want to feel safe, heard, and protected in our respective communities. The topic of people of color is so touchy that no one even wants to go near it. However, for people of color, it is not a topic, it is their life. Let us look at the situation as people fighting for their lives because it is what they are doing. Local organizations are at the ground level, out on the field, connecting with its community members face to face, both through our work and because we are them. We will not be silenced anymore. As comprehensive plans for reformation are not due until April 2021, I ask that we do not rush this process and include the people of color that this order is meant to include and protect. Thank you.